Having selected Toronto's future stars, Pat Gillick then chose the man to manage them. A proven judge of talent, Bobby Mattick was the perfect choice. He had been scouting supervisor for the Blue Jays since the team's beginning, and now as manager, he was working with the very players he had developed in the minors.
Bobby knew his players right from the schoolyards where he first saw them, and I think really phase 2 around here was Bobby Mattick just continuing the education of some of those young ball players that he sort of milk-fed into the big leagues.
Dave Steve was a member of that new Blue Jay, born and raised in the organization. He had been signed by Mattick and now in the majors became a beneficiary of Bobby's patient instruction.
If Steve was having a bad inning or say he got in a jam in the 5th inning, I wouldn't want to pull him for somebody else just to try to make things happen. I want him to get that experience and get out of a jam if he could and know and really retain that he can get out of jams when he gets in them.
Lloyd Mosby was another recruit designed for grooming in the Blue Jay farm system. But in 1980, at the age of 20, he was pushed into Major League service. So Mosby spent much of his education in the majors, which as it turned out was the place to be if Bobby Mattick was the teacher.
Here's a guy who had me sliding, doing sliding drills. It's kind of hard to describe. He would have a ball in his hand and I come sliding from out of nowhere under a ball and catching it, especially on AstroTurf. I'm not going to dive head first, but I think that the slide that he taught me in those days was really made a definite impact on my outfield play.
Bolstered by Mattick's confidence, the Blue Jays upped their win total to a club record 67. While hard times beset the Blue Jays, frustration gripped Bobby Mattick time and again.
We were having a rough time, and we had a rough time with the home plate umpire. You know, we couldn't get any strikes, or when we were at the plate, you know, it seemed like everything that the other team was throwing at us was a strike. And when our pitcher was out there, everything was a ball. So finally, Bobby Mattick, our manager at the time, he was just frustrated as could be because he really wanted to do well in Baltimore. So we have a close play at home plate. The umpire calls him out at home plate. Mattick throws up his hat, but his hat didn't come down. He was expecting to come down. He's looking around like this for the hat. What happened? It landed on top of a dugout.
Not all of Mattick's 2 years on the field proved embarrassing. In fact, under his steady guidance, the Blue Jays finally began to gain respect around the league, even in New York, where they proved to be a worthy opponent over the years.
I remember Dick Hauser coming up to me at the batting cage, Yankee Stadium. He says, "You guys are playing us as tough as anyone." Well, I thought that was real classy of that guy because we didn't beat him, but we did play him tough.
Even the future stars were beginning to click, even though winning may have still seemed like a distant goal. But the talent and know-how were there, thanks in large part to the Blue Jays' foremost instructor.
Bobby Mattick, to me, was a genius in fundamentals of the game. There's no doubt about it. He took those young players up when he was managing, knowing that he was going to lose. But he took them up, and he worked them out in the fundamentals of baseball. He put them in there, let them play every day, knowing they were going to struggle. Tried to keep them up, keep their hopes up, keep them going. And therefore, by Bobby Mattick's suffering, Toronto gained.